Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 76ers victory. They were just able to close out a Nick Sirianni press conference where he talked about Fletcher Cox and what he told his defensive tackle going through the trade deadline. And we have the great John Dorenbos joining the show today. John, I have said many times before that Chris Long is probably my favorite athlete I've ever covered in Philadelphia. John Dorenbos is up there because John was perfect when he was here in Philadelphia, and it's hard to be perfect, like really hard. Everybody strives for perfection. Only John Dorenbos achieves it, so that's cool. But John will join the show today because John's doing a show this Saturday night at Live Casino in South Philadelphia, right there by the sports complexes, and John's going to be doing one of his magic shows there, and he is phenomenal with his magic shows. If you haven't seen John Dorenbos perform live, it is awesome. So go see him Saturday night. That's November 6th at Live Casino. Shows at 7 o'clock. You can go to AXS.com for tickets. So John is just a great guy. I love talking to him. I love every chance I get to talk to John Dorenbos. Always entertaining. And again, Mr. Perfect. I was watching that Sixers game last night. And I am really enjoying myself. I made a couple of bets, and we'll talk about those a little bit later when we talk about BetQL and WinView as well. But one of the things I really enjoyed watching that game was how everybody else was stepping up. Because I think you can't ignore it anymore. Joel Embiid is really struggling. His free throw percentage was at 55% last night, which is just so rare. Usually it's up there around 90%, and that's where it's been for the most part this season. But last night, for whatever reason, it was really getting to him, and he was having his struggles. He shot 6 for 18 from the floor. Those little turnaround jumpers, those little baseline fadeaways, those are usually falling for him. The mid-range game for him is usually off the charts. This year, it just hasn't been there. So is it the knee problem, partly a carryover from last year? Is it the fact that he stepped on Valanciunas' foot the first game of the season that's bothering him, and he's trying to really power through because there's already no Ben Simmons, and now there's no Tobias Harris, and now there's no Danny Green? Is he really trying to power through all of this? Because here's what I've learned about watching the NBA in recent years. And I also learned something about another sport that I grew up with my first sport. But to stay with basketball for a second, I won't let my Family Guy brain kick in. Too late. Sorry, by the way, for being late this morning, guys. We had a little technical issue. I meant to address that right out of the gate, but I was just so eager to talk Sixers. But yeah, thanks for joining us now. Watching Joel Embiid this year and watching all these players step up in the absence of Ben Simmons has just been a joy to watch. With that being said, the fourth quarter of this particular game was the first game that I went, maybe that Ben guy would be nice to have on the floor right now, considering the defense. But obviously that's not happening. We'll get some more why, because there was another development yesterday. But as I'm watching this game last night, and as I'm trying to figure out how the Sixers are going to close this game out, one of the things that I just couldn't get away from was the fact that Joel Embiid looked so off his game. And when I was watching him play, I was thinking, is it the knee? Is it conditioning again? God forbid, because I don't want to go down that path again because I hate that conversation. Is it that he's just pushing through because he already knows he's down so many different players? And I think, honestly, it really is a combination of all but the conditioning aspect. Because I watched Joel Embiid play last year, and I never really thought much about conditioning. And that argument has kind of gone out the window for me because I think this guy really wants to win. And I think he's right now doing everything it takes to try to win basketball games. But as I'm watching this game unfold last night, I'm also thinking to myself, does September, does October, does November, do those months really matter? I know in September, October, you're talking about getting the team together and you're talking about getting practices in and all that stuff. I know you're talking about starting the season. And then November, all right, you start to ramp up really a little bit. But really, when you look around the league, that's not the way really good teams have done it. We've watched teams like the Lakers struggle when they start out. We've watched teams like the Clippers start out and struggling. We've watched good teams struggle early on, and all those teams have superstars. And another one has a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who is very much embracing the whole load management idea. The real great teams, for whatever reason, there's probably no better example than the way the Lakers closed out the season last year. They don't really treat the beginning of the year like it's the beginning of the year. They treat it like it's extended preseason, which I know is something we will never adopt in this city as our mindset, but that's the way a lot of these teams play it. So when I watch this team, when I watch Joel Embiid really push through October and November and playing games and all that stuff, I'm thinking to myself, is it worth it now to have him doing all this? Like, for instance, you got the Pistons coming up again. Is Joel Embiid going to play against the Pistons? I would hope not. I think you could sit him against the Pistons, give him a little bit of a break in that game. And I hate talking about breaks, but I'm talking about a guy that's already showing some either lingering effects from a knee injury or re-aggravating it early on in the season. And he already knows he's down Tobias Harris, he's down Danny Green, and he already knows he's down Ben Simmons. So for me, I know that it's not ideal, but I think the idea of having him for later in the season suits the Sixers a lot better at this point. So I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play against the Pistons in their next game. But here's what I will say. The effort with Joel Embiid is most definitely there. And I know that's been a cause for concern in years past. But when it comes to this year, he knows what he's up against, especially now with the recent injuries and COVID protocols and all that stuff. So I think that's why he's going out there and actually pushing through everything that he could possibly push through to help this team win. Now, to build a nice little wall there, 6-2, third in the Eastern Conference. Keep it happening, folks. Keep it happening. So last night's game, a little bit more specifically. Furkan Korkmaz, George Niang, Seth Curry, three of the guys, Tyrese Maxey, three of the guys that really stepped up in last night's victory. Seth Curry, over the last couple of games here, 22 points, 23 points. That's exactly what you want to see, especially with no Tobias Harris and missing that scoring in the lineup. Seth Curry's also been hitting threes for you. He's been hitting some clutch shots for you. Tyrese Maxey's been getting clutch drives and ones. Great defense. Matisse Thybulle's been all over the place on the defensive side of the ball. He's been great to watch. And George Niang, I am just, like, Doc Rivers was right. I know he didn't say it was because Ben Simmons was causing all the drama in the offseason, but it was because Ben Simmons was causing all the drama in the offseason and now during the season as well that we didn't talk about Andre Drummond and we didn't talk about George Niang. And George Niang is a really, really nice addition to have for the Sixers. Big three in the first half last night, got you some rebounds, got you an N1, hit some jump shots, drove the lane. He was doing it all for you last night, and that's something you need to see if the Sixers are going to maintain any semblance of winning, if you're not going to have Tobias Harris, Danny Green, or Joel Embiid going on load management or early rest in the season. That's exactly what you want to see. And I am blown away by what they've been able to do so far this season, considering the guys that they've been down. Now, in that fourth quarter, they started to leak a little bit. In that fourth quarter, they were outscored 26-19, and the Sixers only won by 4 points, 102 to 98. Sixers led by as much as 18 points. They ended up winning by 4. And this is what is great about your all-star, your superstar on this team, your leader, Joel Embiid. For as much as he struggled throughout this game, DeMar DeRozan was going off last night to the tune of 37 points, the vast majority in the second half. And in that fourth quarter, I want to say he had 12 points at this point in the game with about a little under 10 seconds left. He drives the lane. It's a 4-point game. Sixers up 4 points. He drives the lane, goes up for the dunk. Joel Embiid rises, blocks the shot. Ref blows the whistle. Now, just for a little backstory, I was texting with a buddy of mine during the game last night, my buddy Bennett. I've mentioned him before. And I literally, maybe 5 minutes before this happened, I said, I love the way the officials are calling the game this year, like calling it correctly. I love it. Like, good job, NBA officiating. This is the way it should be called all the time. Should have been always called. And then 5 minutes later, Joel Embiid gets called for a clean block. And to his credit, Joel Embiid runs away from the basket, signaling to review it, right? Finger in the air, twirling it like a home run in baseball. Hey, review that, Doc. Review that. Doc Rivers looking around. All right, we'll review it. And they review it. Overturned. Sixers get the jump ball at midcourt between him and Vucevic. And the Sixers win the challenge. So they remain 4 points up. If they didn't, you're talking about obviously 2 point, or sending DeMar DeRozan to the line there. So he gets credit for the block. I also give him credit for telling the coach to challenge it, which Doc Rivers then did, and they win, and then they win the game. So that's great. Sixers again, 6-2. After the game, Joel Embiid did say that he was a little surprised that they did call that a foul, and you could tell by his reaction. He also talked about how great Seth Curry has been for this team in the absence of Ben Simmons, in the absence of Tobias, in the absence of Danny Green now, how great Seth Curry has been, and also the absence of the regular scoring that we're used to seeing from Joel Embiid. Here is Joel Embiid last night on Seth Curry's performance.
He's been incredible. Shot making ability, especially with me struggling all over the floor, just shooting the ball and making the normal shots that I usually make. He's been amazing. You go back since the season started, and especially the last game, and obviously this one, making big shots after big shots. That's what we're going to need too, especially with the way they defend me and, sending doubles every single time I have the ball. So I'm glad, we're all stepping up. It's not just about him. I think the whole team, as a whole, we got a few guys down. But, everybody's stepping up and, it's good.
Teammate like Joel Embiid every single time he's out there. And also Seth Curry, who, again, has just been incredible this season. Now, here's something I didn't even realize, because the last time this happened, it was like people were shouting it from the rooftops. And I want to say maybe I could be way off here. 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, the NBA switched to a different basketball. And they did that for about 20 minutes, it seemed like, before they went right back to the old basketball. But this was in the days of David Stern still being the commissioner of the league. And I remember, I think it was Carmelo Anthony whose quote about the new basketball was, it felt like that rubber ball you got in an Easter basket from your grandmother, who didn't really know any better. Oh, he likes basketball, or she likes basketball. I'll buy this Easter basket. It's got a basketball in it. And you take the cellophane off, right? And then you hold the basketball, and you're like, it feels more like somebody blew a bubble with a piece of gum, and that's what you're going to play with. And that's what the Sixers were saying this felt like. And it's kind of slippery at the same time. It's gross, is what I'm telling you. It's gross. And that's what I think Carmelo Anthony actually came out and said, which is actually the only time I actually agree with Carmelo Anthony. And he went out there, and there you go. So the Sixers right now apparently are trying to get used to this basketball. The guy that's only really having a big problem with it apparently is Joel Embiid. I didn't realize they even switched the basketball, but here's Joel Embiid talking about getting used to that new ball.
I'm always, not looking for excuses, but the ball is different. Still not totally feel comfortable with it. It's a process, but every single day I work hard and I make those shots in practice. Last year, I was probably the best midway jumper in the league. So at some point it's gonna come back.
I see Joel Embiid. I honestly, you see the shot a little bit off from him, and I'm wondering what is the problem. As I mentioned earlier, is it the fatigue? No, it can't be the fatigue. The knee? It's always a possibility. It's the knee. Hey, it can take people a long time to get used to something new. Seth Curry's not having a problem with it. George Niang's not having a problem with it. Tobias Harris wasn't really having a problem with it when he was playing. Furkan Korkmaz's not having a problem with it. For whatever reason, Joel Embiid's having a problem with it. Like I said, last night was the exception. It wasn't the rule. 55% from the free throw line. He shot at least 88% in the previous couple of nights combined. I think it's just a matter of him getting the ball in his hands and just kind of putting his mind to it, saying, this is it. There's no going back. This is the new ball. Get used to it. Whatever it takes, Joe, because this team's going to need you down the stretch. No doubt about that. I will also say this. I know I mentioned him a second ago. Furkan Korkmaz last night has been a joy to watch. And I have had my fun with Furky, Jerky from Turkey. Yeah. I've had my fun with him over the years. But this man is D'ing up last night. He's getting to like DeMar DeRozan's face on a couple of occasions. He's actually D'ing him up well. He's hitting threes. Another reverse dunk on a breakaway caused by Matisse Thybulle breaking up a play. Goes to Furky. He goes down for the reverse jam. I don't know who this Furkan Korkmaz is. Like, the guy I watched last year and the year before that, I'll tell you, all I can think about is that the word from Brett Brown. Bomber. I have to grow a bomber. Furky has turned himself into a bit of a baller, more than just a bomber. And I love to see that. So here you go on the Sixers. Here's your Ben Simmons news for the day, folks. This will be fun. So as we told you yesterday, Ramona Shelbourne said that Ben Simmons is refusing Sixers doctors' help. All right. We said that yesterday. Now, he's not obligated contractually or through the CBA to use the Sixers doctors for anything. When it comes to health issues, when it comes to mental health issues, physical issues, whatever it might be, he's not obligated. He can do his own thing. I point to probably the most famous example was Markel Fultz, who had thoracic outlet syndrome. And they told that to Elton Brand. They wanted to seek their own help. He said, fine. And he never played for the Sixers again. So there you go. Now, with the mental health issue, Ben Simmons is not consulting team doctors, which, again, he's not contractually obligated to do so. So they just asked for status updates. They don't want to get, according to multiple reports, Keith Pompey, Kyle Neubeck, multiple reports, they're not trying to get detailed records of what Ben Simmons is talking about. They just want status updates. Hey, how you doing? And apparently, all Ben Simmons said to Daryl Morey during a brief meeting at practice yesterday, I don't even know if you can call it a meeting. It sounded like, from what I read, Ben Simmons was at practice, at shoot-around, and Daryl Morey just walked up to him. Hey, how's it going, basically? And the Sixers continue to grow increasingly frustrated with the situation because all Ben Simmons would say was that he just is not mentally ready to play. So what it also has been implied from some other things I read, and I thought Ramona Shelbourne had this in her story 2 days ago now regarding Ben Simmons, but I went back and I didn't see it in there. Apparently there's a loophole. I hate to even call it that, but there's a loophole in the CBA where if a player claims mental health, you really can't do anything as far as fining him or suspending him or anything like that. So that's what Ben Simmons is claiming right now. That's what only recent reports have come out and said he has dealt with, even going back to the summer. And I know people have looked at other things, myself included, as other things that could be affecting him because he is a human. He has things going on in his life, and I get that. But this is a really tough sell to give to the Philadelphia fan base. And for anyone who's gone through mental health issues, anyone who goes through mental health issues, I cannot think of a way to ostracize yourself and shun yourself from any community than mocking mental health issues. And if that is what's going down here, then I would love to see if there's any proof of anything, which I doubt, which is I know people go, oh, it needs to be thrown out of the league. If there's any proof of anything, the league needs to take action. Because this is abusing something and making a mockery of something that really affects people. And also, by the way, has really championed causes throughout many people outside of the sports world to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the way somebody else grew up isn't the way I grew up. Maybe what bothers them doesn't bother me, and I need to be more accepting or more understanding for somebody else's feelings. And I feel like we have gotten to that to a point with Brandon Brooks. We have certainly gotten there with Lane Johnson most recently. And if any athlete ever was using that as a crutch and as a facade, and it wasn't real, and that was ever come out, then shame on that person, man. So much shame on that person. If that was the case, if someone was ever to abuse the support, the emotion, And that really the understanding that so many people have only recently gotten to when it comes to something like mental health, because that would set people back. Because then every other situation would be like, oh, yeah, well, how about that guy who said he was bad, but he wasn't? If that was the case here, then the league would have to take action. It would be, I would hope it would be out of any team's hands, generally speaking. It's a tough sell, what's going on right now for a lot of people in Philadelphia to try to say, hold on a second. Everything that came out over the offseason with Ben Simmons was all about not playing in Philadelphia. There was nothing about mental health. And then he only showed up when he started to get fined, and now he's not being fined anymore, but he's still not playing, which, by the way, was always the goal, to not play for the Sixers. Something doesn't add up. I look forward to hearing from Ben. I want to hear his side of the story, and I don't think we're going to hear from Ben really until he gets traded, whenever that may be. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he plays. I hope he helps his trade value. I hope he's fine mentally, and we'll see where that goes. Before I get to John Dorenbos, coming up in just a second here, I do want to let you hear from Nick Sirianni. He was asked point blank. By the way, I think it was Eskin yesterday. I think it was Howard Eskin that asked him a question about what his speech was to the team this time around, any pictures, any flowers, anything like that. He didn't get into specifics this time. Despite the fact that the Eagles practiced great and they played great against the Lions, whatever, that's great. Didn't get into specifics, really. But one of the things he did really talk about was Fletcher Cox. And he was asked two questions. I got them both for you here regarding Fletcher Cox being involved in trade rumors. At first, Nick Sirianni said he didn't really get into it, and then he kind of said he kind of got into it. Here is Nick Sirianni and the questions surrounding Fletcher Cox and the trade rumors yesterday.
Again, I know there was a lot of rumors there with that. I'm just really happy that Fletch is still on this football team. He's and we're going to be able to build upon the the big time performance that the defensive line had the other day, and they've had some really good games here, and we know that's a strength of our team, and Fletch is a huge part of that. He's been a huge part of that for a long time. So again, rumors will be, I can't comment on rumors, but I'm just happy that he's here, and I'm happy that he's continuing to be part of this organization.
Did you have to talk to him at all, like during the day?
Anytime stuff like that happens, and yeah, you just always want to. My biggest thing is just try to communicate with everybody about everything, and that's how he's approach at it as well, to be able to communicate through all those things, and whether it's a trade, whether it's something personal that somebody's going through, anything, we just want to be there for our players to make sure they know that we're there for them, and be honest with them with everything that's going on.
If this is exactly what he needed, Fletcher Cox, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I wonder if he needed this kind of shakeup, like, hey, we could trade you. We're aggressively shopping you. If that's the case, maybe you get a better version of Fletcher Cox going forward. Maybe you get that more aggressive guy. Maybe Jonathan Gannon will be more aggressive with Fletcher Cox. Who knows? But I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping it's not just a sigh of relief for Fletcher Cox that he wasn't traded, but I'm also hoping that he looks at it as, oh, wow, they could get rid of me here, and I really don't want to go anywhere. I got a nice life here in Philadelphia. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to be a better teammate, whatever it might be. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and say I doubt it. I'd like to say I'm rooting for it, but I'm not betting on it. You know what I am betting on? You know what I am rooting for? Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer Studios, we like to send everybody to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. IHateStevenSinger.com. People say, why do I see these billboards? I hate Steven Singer. I'll tell you. Because those other jewelers, they hate this guy. Because they mark things way up just to mark it down in front of you and make you feel like you won something, even though they're still making bank. Got that guy. Not Steven Singer. You get the perfect price every single day. There's no promo codes. There's no discounts. There's no sales. No coupons. You walk into Steven Singer, you know you're getting the perfect price every single time. How great is that? You know you're going to get taken care of by a real jewelry expert. You know you're going to get treated like family. That's Steven Singer. And on top of it all, what matters most, the best quality diamonds. Anita cut diamonds available right now. Steven is stocked up for the holidays. Some other people already running out of inventory. Steven Singer, no. Fully stocked for the holidays, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you check out I Hate Steven Singer. That's I Hate Steven Singer. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price, the perfect price every single time. Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, after this interview with John, I'm going to tell you my favorite locker room story with John Dorenbos. But the man is playing at a live casino in South Philadelphia Saturday night, and he's a phenomenal magician. He's a great guy. Love his story. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk to John Dorenbos on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I guess this guy needs no introduction, but just in case, John Dorenbos, longtime Eagle snapper, he's going to be performing at Live coming up this weekend, Saturday night, 7 o'clock, AXS.com for tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, John Dorenbos. What's up, John?
Come on, baby. It's been too long. Thanks for having me, and glad to be here.
It's great to have you. Now, I don't know if your ears were ringing the other day, but I'm talking to a buddy of mine who told his then-girlfriend, now wife, he was going to walk on at Michigan as the long snapper simply because he knew he could do it. He didn't end up doing it. And I did ask him, I said, do you have any film on you long snapping? And he goes, no. I said, you should pull a John Dorenbos. And he goes, what the heck's that mean? And I said, well, John Dorenbos didn't have film of him long snapping. Is it true? Is this true? You used a buddy of yours film long snapping and not your own?
I'm gonna correct that.
Okay.
That is not,
What is it? What is it?
That is not true.
Okay.
I used two buddies. I used mine.
Okay.
And two buddies. Nick Heinley was a linebacker who just destroyed people. I took some of his big hits because let's face it, back in the day, one camera, no HD. Who's to say, right? He was 48, I was 47. We were both kind of stocky white guys. We're good. I had a few clips of me snapping in high school, but I didn't have any for like 2 years because I hadn't snapped. I was at a junior college, so a year and a half, right? And so I took Tim Thurman, who's a 6'6" long snapper, and I just kind of threw his tape on there and just called it a day. And my buddy was at UTEP, who played with all three of us, who played with Tim, Nick, and me. And he vouched for me. They called him in. Hey, Dorenbos, pretty good player, right? He's like, yeah, he's a good player. And he could snap too, right? Yeah. He snapped in high school. Yeah, he can long snap. And he kind of looked at the tape like, wait a minute. Hey, John, is that you? Hey, don't worry about it. Just vouch for me, get me in, and let's do this. All right. Not only that, but that was at the time when like long snapper was becoming its own position. So I got a full ride to long snap, and was kind of at the beginning of that era, even in the NFL, where I helped launch a position. Man, it's pretty cool.
I believe that the term "fake it till you make it" comes to mind.
But I knew I could do it. Hold on. I knew I could do it. I could do it. I just needed an opportunity. So really, it's don't lie, don't deceive. But the moral of the story here is believe in yourself more than anybody will believe in you, and just keep going. See how I spun that right there? That's
good. That's good for the kids. That's good for the kids.
So it's morally, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Maybe I could CGI in a little "the more you know" star going across. John, so obviously you're in the magic circuit. You're back to performing. You're a father of a young lady, 2.5 years old, happily married, my man. I mean, life really can't get much better for John Dorenbos, can it?
Hey, it's awesome, man. And you know what? Here's the deal, right? And this is everybody. Let's just make the best of every situation. So I was stuck at home for 10.5 months too, but you're going to find the positive and keep on rocking. We talked about this right before we went on air, and this goes for life, business. I don't care, man. Stay ready. So you never got to get ready, right? Show up every day, prepared, ready to work, have a smile on your face, make the decision to be happy. And hey, man, life is, man, endless.
John, I'm so lucky to have had the opportunity to interview you a number of times, but I will say some of my favorite times with you are getting to do player pieces in the locker room, interviewing you guys, bouncing around and all that stuff. And whenever I would interview you, it would be like 10 seconds of a question and an answer, and then maybe a minute and a half of just goofing off. Next thing I know, you're trying to feed Donnie Donkey Leg Jones some water ice. You're over here talking to somebody else about their Madden ratings, just whatever. So what did you do for 10 months while you were stuck at home with the rest of the family?
Believe it or not, the virtual speaking world was enormous. And if you can be more than just a talking face in front of a screen, which I had the opportunity to do, we did that. And so I built a studio here at the house. And the virtual speaking world was huge. I got to do that. And then I was a dad, which worked out perfect. So I got to, and I worked a ton. It was great. I worked a ton, but I didn't travel. And so it actually, looking back now, here's the deal. I was casted in the new Varsity Blues. I was John Voight's predecessor as the head coach of the West Canaan High, right? And so we were just about to start filming that. That was going to be a huge opportunity, big break. That gets canceled. Everything gets postponed. And so life shut down. And now here's the deal. Though my career was going like this and then everything got canceled and postponed, there is nothing I wouldn't trade for the 11 months, 12 months, a year, year and a half, whatever you want to call it, that I spent at my daughter's age from 1 to 2.5 to be home every day, not taking away the downside of COVID and what people experience. But for me, spending every day with my daughter, I wouldn't trade that for the world.
It's the best way to look at something. You know, when it hands you lemons, you got to make lemonade, as they say. I picture you as a dad where your kid might be looking at you being like, Dad, it's my turn to play with the toy. Come on. Is that kind of how it goes?
You know, it's really bad when you smack your kid's hand off her own building blocks and say, don't do that. Dad's building mommy a yacht with a condo right next to it. Stop it. No, give me that piece of mine. That piece is mine. I need the 4-pronger. It's got to go on the top.
Okay, so I was accurate in that assessment.
Completely.
What did you miss about the live audience? I know, like, whether it's football, whether it's performing in a live audience, just having that live crowd there. What was that? You know, what did you miss the most about not having that live audience?
Energy. And you know what else? Unpredictability, right? Being on stage, anything happens in live entertainment. I dig that, right? The idea that I do really difficult tricks that can go wrong. That's what keeps you on your toes. So, and speaking of which, if you've seen the show before, which a lot of my fans have, I got some new stories. I got some new tricks. So you'll see some new stuff, which I don't know if we mentioned this, but live Casino Philadelphia, baby. Come on, Saturday, November 6th, 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. That's right. People can go down there. I assume this is your first time there?
Yeah, well, I've been there. I've stayed there. Beautiful place. I wish that was there when I played. I mean, I'm talking like this thing is super nice. So I was stoked. First time I've actually played this room. And I don't know if this is accurate. I got to confirm this, but I think I'm one of the first headlining act. Like they're kind of like, you know, they've had like dry runs and they've had some acts in there, but I don't know if I got to confirm this. So I got a little surprise little thing for it. But if that's the case, then I'm pretty excited to be kind of the first act in that room. But I don't know if that's true or not.
You said it. Good enough for me. First act in that room, John Dorenbos, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll take it.
That's how we'll do it.
It's the first act in the room. Now back to you, Mark.
when you come up with a new trick, how long does it take you from idea to I can totally perform this in front of a packed house?
So I had one, and I spent 2 years and money, and 2 years, 2.5 years. And then I went and performed it a bunch, and then you'd perform it and then go back, perform it, go back, what worked, what didn't work. And I think I just came to the realization 2 shows ago that it's just not really what I was hoping for. And it just doesn't work. Audience just so unfortunately, I think we're going to shelf it, and it's my pride and joy. But anyways, you never know. Some are hits, some take a while. Some you develop and then you perform it. Like I said, then you get beats or opportunity, or what did the audience hit? What clapped? What didn't? What should have got a laugh? What didn't? And then you go back, and just like a football game, you go back and analyze it, and critique it and grade it and check it off. So some take years. David Copperfield has spent millions and millions on one trick in 10 years just to get it right. And so you never know.
That's one of the things that always amazes me about magicians is it's like stand-up comedy, but you're also doing this thing it has to be perfectly timed with what you're saying and what you're performing. How do you plan that to go together? How do you get that timing down?
Oh gosh, that you just unlocked Pandora's box, because you're supposed to time that and plan that. And then I think I have it planned, and then I've got my cue sheet, and then I stopped doing cue sheets. I just have guys that know where I'm going, because who's going to miss the cue? This guy right here, right? They're like, John, I was waiting for the cue. Remember you said you were going to say this specifically. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did say I would say that, didn't I? Did I not say it? Didn't say it. You didn't even come close. So, like I said, you asked me what I missed about the live, right? It's the energy and unpredictability. So, I just kind of go out there and wing it sometimes.
One of the things that I remember, because I was out there in Minnesota when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and Jeffrey Lurie invited you back with the team, and you got to hang out with those guys and be there with them when they won the Super Bowl, and you're a part of that forever, my friend, just as like you're a part of this franchise forever. One of the things I remember is you bouncing around, just having the time of your life, as you would expect someone in your position at that time doing. What do you take away from being with the team during that Super Bowl run?
I was a long snapper that was traded for a draft pick, which I believe I was the first long snapper ever traded for a draft pick in the NFL. And then I was awarded a Super Bowl ring, a player's ring, for a team I didn't play for. So there's two things, right? Scratch it off that, right? Making history. So I told Jeff, if I don't get a ring as a player, I'm never going to get one because I don't want to coach. And so sure enough, when this whole thing went down, he's like, hey, you didn't coach and you didn't play, but guess what? You're still getting a ring. So that ring for me means a lot more than it, to me now than had I played, because he basically was like, look, you showed up every day, on time, prepared, ready to work. There's nobody else here I'd rather have for 11 and a half years. So wherever you go in life, look at this ring, remember the hard work it took, remember the sacrifice, and apply that into every aspect of your life, and you'll be a champion forever. So it's cool to look back on it. I didn't get to play, clearly, and so I took the next best thing, right? And that was to try and live in and experience it. They asked me to be in the Super Bowl parade, which this is a great story. Not to ramble here, but here I am, right? I'm at the Super Bowl parade. I'm like 9 months off my surgery, still on some pills, so I'm kind of in a fog. This is cool. And I'm getting on the bus with Jason Peters, and Donnie Jones, and Darren Sproles, and I get stopped by the front office, and they're like, "Hey, John, this is the player bus. You have to go on the alumni bus." And it was kind of like a oh god,
yeah,
that's right. Like I'm not really a player. And then they looked at me and said, "But on the alumni bus, it's just you and Brian Dawkins. Is that cool?" Wait, me and Doc, perfect fitting. You know what? I think, you know what? Look, I'll allow Brian on my bus. So literally, it was just Brian and I driving down, and the whole time they're like, "Hey, Joe," like Hall of Fame Dawkins, right? And it was like, I mean, I got to go in this, not just be a part of the Super Bowl parade, but I got to do it next to Brian Dawkins, who greatest Eagle of all time. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. When you walk into a room, you've got this thing called charisma, and I'm not breaking news when I say that. You got charisma. When you walk into a room, you own the room. Now, I would assume as a head coach, that guy's got to own the room when he walks into it. And a lot of us in the media, I'm not saying the people in the locker room, but people in the media, look at this new Nick Sirianni guy and go, I don't know if he owns the room. What have you heard? What have you seen about Nick Sirianni? What do you like? What don't you like? What have you heard about the man?
All right, what have I heard? I've heard a ton of Coco Melon. I've heard a ton of Baby Einstein. I've heard a ton of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as she flies around with the owl. I've heard A, B, C, D. Now I know my ABCs. So I haven't watched as much football as I would have liked, but I haven't really heard a lot about that. But I will say this. Here's my observation, and I played a long time. I don't know if it was around the Sanchez, Bradford era, shortly after. Young quarterbacks all of a sudden were expected to play right away. You drafted this kid high. We're paying him a ton of money. He's got to play right away. I just think that's so unfair in that one position. That is the hardest position in professional sports. And so there's such a demand to win right away. And what I observed is that it's really hard. You get a new coach, new quarterback, new system, new this, new that, to turn that around and then all of a sudden just win. It's hard, man. It's a hard expectation to fulfill. So I wish that the league would go back to letting quarterbacks just sit for a few years. Right. And I remember when Andy Reid drafted Donovan, if I remember right, Andy was like, this is a 5-year project. Like, I'm not, don't rush this kid. So, in defense of Jalen Hurts and any young quarterback, they're thrown in with wolves, man. It's a way different game than college. And so there's a lot of things going on there and to get all those pieces to fit. And I think that's the Eagles, right? New coach, young quarterback, this, that, all this change. Sometimes it just takes a little time to kind of get in the groove and get it done.
When it comes to, football, he's done football. He's obviously doing magic. Let me take away those two things. What's third on the list for John Dorenbos? What else are you doing?
Well, let me excuse myself and grab something here on my bookshelf to show
what?
you.
What?
Well, this is okay. This is something I just want to give a shout out to the Eagles fans. I'm super stoked to get back to Philly because anytime I can get back there, show appreciation, do whatever I can. I love you guys. This is what's called a McFarland figure for those on the radio. Oh, I got a green screen going, so it looks like a white jersey, but that's actually really funny to me, actually. A McFarland figure is a very expensive collectible of an athlete. They're a couple $100, and it's usually Hall of Famers. This is a John Dorenbos McFarland figure.
Wow.
Hey, you know what the truth is? This is actually Kevin Mawai of the Tennessee Titans, who's a Hall of Fame center and an Eagles fan, bought Kevin Mawai, sanded him down, and perfectly painted this guy to be John Dorenbos. So here's what's great. I'll have meetings, right? Big execs come over, whatever, and they want to see my little trophy room cool. And I have this thing on the counter. And I kid you not, all of them go, bro, you got a McFarland figure?
That's amazing.
Yes, I do.
Good for you, my friend. Good for you. Live casino, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Make sure you guys check it out. AX, for people that are not hearing me, AXS.com for your tickets. Go see John Dorenbos. Last thing for you, John. You mentioned how you love Philadelphia. Your old teammate, Jason Kelsey, recently came out and talked about how great it was to play in Philadelphia. It's an honest fan base. When I'm sure this happens, when people are like, oh, yeah, well, you played in Philly, right? You played in Philadelphia. When they ask you about that, what's the first thing that jumps to mind when you talk about playing in Philadelphia?
Well, the first thing that I get hit with is, oh my gosh, you played in Philly? Whew, that must have been hard. I mean, they threw snowballs at Santa. You know what? This was my observation. Now, I'm not stereotyping anybody. I'm not saying that this individual had this characteristic, but here's my observation. If you point fingers, you make excuses, it's never your fault, and you're just kind of an idiot, the city's going to run you out of town, right? If you show up every day, on time, prepared, ready to work, you give it your all, and if you make a mistake, you get in front of a camera and say, yo, my bad, and I'm going to tell you right now, Philly, that ain't never happening again. And then the next day, you're the first one at the facility improving or correcting that mistake. Man, Philly rallies behind you. Philly cheers you on. And if you do mess up a little bit, Philly will make excuses for you because they believe in you and they're rallying behind who you are as a person and what you represent. So Jason Kelsey is a perfect example of just tough grit, man, somebody you want on your team, a perfect teammate, a perfect leader, somebody that shows up every single day, somebody that never backs down. He's like today's John Runyon. You know what I mean? So it makes perfect sense why all of a sudden he's the face of this conversation and so appreciative because he's the guy that Philly loves.
Absolutely. What a great way to put that. John Dorenbos, once again, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Go see him at Live Casino right there in South Philadelphia. Tickets right there at AXS.com. John, great catching up with you, man. We miss you around Philadelphia. Look forward to seeing you Saturday night, my man.
One more thing. If you're an Eagles fan, it's really cool. Teammates, Darren Sproles, Avant, Todd Harriman's Runyon. I'm waiting to hear back from Westbrook and Trey Thomas. They're all going to the show. So you never know who you're going to see.
Oh, that's
just
incredible.
I'm just saying.
They're hard to miss. Those guys are hard to miss if they're there. You know what I'm saying? Now,
oh, yeah.
John, great catching up with you, man. Good luck, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
You're the man, dude. Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.
John. No whammies. Big bucks, no whammies. Big bucks. Stop. There we go. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Go see John Dorenbos Saturday night. Have yourself a time. Thank you, Rob. So the year is 2014, I want to say, 2014. I'm hosting Wing Offs for WIP, leading up to Wing Bowl. For those that don't know, it's a chicken wing eating contest. But I would go around and host the prelims. People could qualify, that whole thing. And John Dorenbos was one of the people that was hosting with me. He'd make appearances. He was great. And there was one particular thing that we had to go over prior to the event. I think it was something, I don't know, some logistical thing. So I emailed John, and we had known each other a little bit to this point, enough to like say hello if we saw each other, that type of thing. And we knew we were going to be working together doing these little events. And I had emailed him something, and it was like maybe a day, and I hadn't heard from him. So I had to go to the Eagles locker room the next day anyway. So I go to his locker, just try to catch him real quick. He's not there. And I start going around talking to other players, interviewing other players. When out of nowhere, I just hear, yo, Marc, like not at all discreet. Literally, I am 10 feet away from him. I'm 10 feet away from this voice that is yelling, hey, Marc, yo, Marc, like yelling at the top of his lungs. Like this inside voice would have worked. Hey, Marc. Like that would have been sufficient. But he's yelling it. I'm 10 feet away. I turn around. John Dorenbos is sitting on his chair outside right at his locker, completely naked, spread eagle. Hey, Marc, yo, Marc. And yes, John, yes. And he's like, hey, Marc. And he just keeps going. And I'm like, yes, John, trying to look away, but acknowledge at the same time. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Is this weird for you? And he goes and it's still yelling, grabs the world's smallest washcloth you've ever seen, puts it over his hibbity-dibbity, and I'm just like, is this better? And I'm just And I'm like, yeah, John. Yeah, thank you. And he goes, you emailed me about something. What did you email about? What did you want to talk about? And I'm like, I just wanted to know what time you were going to show up tonight so we could do this event. Oh, yeah, that. Hold on. And he goes and like gets an imaginary calendar book, starts flipping. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be there at 6:30. And I'm like, thank you, John. Appreciate it. He's like, okay, bye. Still yelling. Okay, bye. Still in a washcloth. Bye. Thank you, John. Thank you for that moment of nudity. And I could have gone the rest of my life without need. I got to be in the locker rooms enough with hibbity-dibbities all over the place. No thanks. I don't need to extend that amount of time. Thank you, though. It was one of those things I was driving home afterwards, and I just, what the hell was that? I was like, I'll have a story for life. But how about John's story on top of that? You get invited. First off, you live, because let's not forget, he gets traded to the Saints, and we're all like, what the hell? Why are you trading John Dorenbos? He gets traded to the Saints, ends up having a heart condition. They need surgery to save his life, essentially. And he lives, gets remarried, has a beautiful daughter, comes back. Jeffrey Lurie invites him to be part of the Super Bowl run. He's there in Minnesota. He gets a ring. He goes to the parade. He's about to get on the players' bus. Stop. And they say, stop. You stop right there. They say, you got to be on the you can't be on the players' bus. You have to be on the alumni bus. And he's like, oh, And then, oh, by the way, Brian Dawkins is over there. So it's like, oh, if Brian Dawkins is over there, then it's totally, I mean, come on. How about that? Love that guy. Go see him at Live Casino tonight, folks. Go see him at Live Casino tonight. And you know what? He joined us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. So let me tell you right now about the great people at Rothman Orthopaedics. Maybe your knee gave out. Maybe you tweaked your back. Or maybe you popped your shoulder. I popped my shoulder. Now you can't do what you used to do. Well, it's just a part of getting older, right? Wrong. Not with the Rothman approach to orthopedics. It's here to get you back to being you, back to running, walking, working, and playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. How about BetQL, ladies and gentlemen? I want a couple of bucks off BetQL. You want to get the advantage over your sportsbook? You need to download BetQL right now. The only app you'll need to make the smart bets. The Best Bets computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And they give you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, player props as well. You don't want to use the model, prefer to do your own research? BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news. They even have a leaderboard for you to track your own success. I used BetQL last night. I made a couple of bets throughout the quarters of the Sixers game. I went 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Especially, I went the under in the third because I thought the under was outrageous. 54 and no, under in the fourth. 54.5 was the under in the fourth. That hit. Lucky me. And I went the over in the second, which hit. Lucky me. And I went the over in the first quarter, which did not hit. I'm an idiot. That's where I did my own research. But if you want to download the BetQL app, make sure you do that at the App Store or Google Play Store now. Download the BetQL app. How about Steak and Maine? SteakandMaine.com in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you like to dine in their beautiful upscale steakhouse, their casual bar, by the sushi bar, they got it all at Steak and Maine. You'll enjoy the prime cuts of meat, fresh seafood, and freshly prepared sushi every day. Open every day for lunch, dinner, or even Sunday brunch, people. Steak and Maine. What am I going to say? What am I going to tell you? 2-pound tomahawk steak. Fine Pinot Noir of Cavada Cellars wines. From his family to your family, folks. Nothing better. Nothing better. Thanksgiving, I told you I'm going down to Maryland again. On the way back, yeah, guess where I'm stopping? Steak and Maine. Gonna have myself a good meal right there. SteakandMaine.com for big parties. They got the party table in the back. The thing actually spins, folks, so you can share your apps and whatnot. So 2-pound steak, 2-pound tomahawk steak, a little too much for you? Spin it around the table. Have everybody else get a crack at it. So enjoy yourself, Steak and Maine. SteakandMaine.com. See my man Tony Cavada. Phenomenal place. How about WinView? WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who knows more? It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's simply a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes by playing against your friends. It's great. Check out WinView. Download the WinView app right now and have yourself a good time. It'll break up the monotony of family dinners and get-togethers, especially over the holidays. You can play a quarter of Monday Night Football. You can look at all the stuff going on throughout the football world. It's a great time with the WinView app. Struggling that week of fantasy football? I did last week. Patrick Mahomes kind of killing me this year. Thanks, buddy. But here's what you got. All the stuff that you got going on right there in your other fantasy leagues, you jump on WinView. Maybe you make up some money that you might not going to win at the end of the season. Win during the season, as I like to say, with the great people at WinView. While you're tracking games on Sunday as well, you can see players killing it for your team. You can play against your league members in a WinView contest. It's not a sports book, not daily fantasy, social gaming app where you can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games you love. Download the WinView app right now. How about our friends at PHL Sports Nation? That's Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Let's get into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Mally, what's happening, Mally? Kevin, what's going on? April. Oh, when we were late. Yeah. Hey, I don't know. I'll put this out to a vote. So I send this out to PJ. Right, I send the link out to PJ to get us going in the morning, right? And I sent it out to the executive producer of the Buzz Sports and Entertainment, and both of them tell me that my email was going to spam. Should I buy it? Should I buy it? Or they have a little meeting saying, "Hey, let's get this Farzetta guy." I think PJ took some time away from Wayfair, buying furniture and. And just said, spam, Farzetta. Spam. We're all having fun. But anyway, yeah, we had a little technical difficulty. Ronald, by the way, I'm seeing myself in my monitor do the thing, and I just realized where I got the air quotes from in that emphasis. And again, it's my idiot Family Guy brain. That's Chris Farley. That's I don't wear clothes that fit me. That's an old sketch from SNL from 30 years ago that 7 people are going to understand. Let's see. What else do we have? Nobody has that much magic. What? Let's see. Morning, people. Sean, good morning. Marc, good morning. Oh, my no offense to anybody else. It's my favorite name in the chat. Stuyvesant. This game gave me major Atlanta series game 4 and 5 vibes. I'm going to say it. The way the game played out, we don't win it with Ben. Interesting. Oh, Hack-a-Ben. Very interesting. Yeah. Ronald, what's popping? Cody, what's happening? Look, all right, let me jump. I was going to wait for the morning rush for this, but I'll jump on it right now. The Sixers need Ben Simmons. And if they don't have Ben Simmons, then they need somebody that can do what Ben Simmons does on the court. Now, defensively speaking, the Sixers have blown me away without Ben Simmons. I've been blown away. But they could close out the fourth quarter barely last night. Again, what was the final in the fourth quarter? They were outscored 26-19 in that fourth quarter. Allowing 26 points in a quarter isn't horrible by any means. It's not great. It's not a closeout by any means. Sixers need Ben Simmons, or they need someone of equal value for Ben Simmons. I know people will look at, 6-2, great defense. You don't need Ben Simmons. Are you really going to make that call right now in November? Are you really going to make that call in October? Hey, I'm ready to move on. I want to see him play a little bit. Hopefully that helps his trade value a little bit, and then you can bring somebody else back in. Let other teams know that he's okay. But just because I'm there doesn't mean that I'm ignoring all the other great things that Ben Simmons has done on the basketball court for this team and how great a regular season team he makes this team and how he can help them with their playoff positioning and their seeding and all that. He's still a 3-time All-Star and deserving of it. When it comes to everything else, yes, I know all the improvement that needs to happen. Both things can be true. But saying right now, they don't need Ben Simmons, they don't. This team isn't winning in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win with Ben Simmons still not taking a step forward in his career with his offensive game. But if they don't have Ben Simmons or bring in more talent for Ben Simmons, then yeah, guess what? We're in for another early exit. Not even making the Eastern Conference Finals. So yes, the Sixers need Ben Simmons or a trade with Ben Simmons involved to bring in more talent. This team ain't it. And if anyone's getting caught up in a 6-2 record right now in November, pump the brakes, all right? Pump the brakes. Let's see here. Cody, Ben's people found out the obscure loophole in the CBA, but couldn't understand he doesn't get paid if he gets fined. I look forward to hearing from Ben. I look forward to hearing it from Ben. Sean, I really hope Ben is being truthful about his mental health issue, because if he's lying, he would be one of the worst kind of people. Absolutely. Peter, bye, Ben. We've moved on. Sincerely, Sixers fans. I really am. In all honesty, like when I asked Brandon Lee Gowton about it yesterday, his attitude was, and rightfully so, I'm done. I'm done with Ben. Let's move on. Let's pull the trigger already and make this happen. I could not agree more as far as just wanting it to be over. But I don't want it to just abruptly end without the Sixers getting as much value as possible in return for a trade. And look, Daryl Morey can dig in his heels all he wants, but other teams are going to do the same thing and say, yeah, go ahead and you wait. I won't have to worry about the Sixers as much during the regular season, like the Nets, for instance, who were one game worse than the Sixers but beat the Sixers. They don't have to worry about the Sixers as much because they don't have Ben Simmons playing, so they don't have to worry about that defense in the fourth quarter, which, yes, you could have used last night. But you also know that their asking price is going to go down, because eventually they're going to get to the point of, all right, we're wasting Joel Embiid's time here. We're wasting his prime. Let's make a deal. Let's make a trade. And ultimately that hasn't happened, or that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. April, Mally, I would take a rack of old basketballs for Ben. Then Joel would shoot better. There you go, old basketballs. April, I like what you did there. That helps everybody. That would be better value. Greatest long snapper ever, John Dorenbos, definitely. Benny, you're alive. And you're a horrible shot. No, Benny, nice to see you, buddy. John's great. Hey, Sean, what's popping? Rob, that story gave me chills that he got a ring. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It really is amazing. I'll say this. Like, we say a lot of stuff about Jeffrey Lurie. That was a great job. That was a great thing Jeffrey Lurie did by making sure John Dorenbos was a part of it. That's a beautiful thing. You got Dorenbos, who can make someone come back from across the room, and Farzy can't get his mic on. So I'm kind of dealing with a loose wire over here. I got to rewire a little bit, and I'll do that eventually. One day Marc will figure out his audio. I'm Allie. God bless you. Sean, this is hilarious. He was trying to show you his magic wand. Mally, come on. Kevin, how about don't trade McCall Bridges? Yeah, I'm with you. Don't know where that is. Come on, only Sealski emails should go to junk. Benny, I'm back. Broke out of Sealski's basement to only get kidnapped by PJ. Oh, come on, people. Which was weird because I'm not. Oh, come on, Benny. We all have fun here. We're all having fun in this general vicinity. We're all having fun. Thanks everyone that commented on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Main at steakandmain.com. Much appreciated, everyone in the chat. I'm getting glared at now by PJ. I'm getting glared at now. What I got the naked story. Folks, I gotta come clean on something. This is the social media. This is the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. I gotta come clean with something here, and I gotta come clean because I feel so dirty about it. Okay. I still love the Phillies, and I always love the Phillies. As Seinfeld says, you root for laundry, and that's what ultimately. But my 39-year love affair with baseball, it's come to an end. It's come to an end. I have always been a baseball first guy. I've always been a Phillies first guy. I love baseball, but after watching these playoffs and seeing how you got to play nowadays and seeing all the bullpen games and seeing like a starting pitcher go 4 innings and then maybe 5 is some great outing where they're a real workhorse, I ain't into it. I still love the Phillies. I still like baseball. I don't hate it. But I don't like the game. I don't love the game the way I used to. The game has changed. And I know a lot of people always look at baseball being boring. I was the kid in the neighborhood that was like, "Hey guys, you want to play baseball today?" And they'd be like, "No." Like, that's boring. Why do you want to play baseball? You want to watch a baseball game? No, that's boring. Why would it be? And now I feel like those kids felt, except I don't hate it. Like I'll still watch a game. I'll still watch the Phillies, but like watching the World Series, and I'm watching the guys bullpen games here and there, and I'm watching guys. And I know there was injuries to the Atlanta Braves rotation, and like out of nowhere, you see a second-year player with 5 big league starts gets his first start in 4 months in the World Series. The World Series. The Dodgers are throwing out bullpen games left and right in the playoffs, and I'm thinking, oh, wait, the pitching changes are just a game that was once tolerably slow for me has now become intolerably slow. And it's always been slow, but I always loved baseball. The love affair is over. I just have to come clean. I just want to tell you guys that in case anyone else is thinking the same thing. And I know I'm not alone in that. Again, Joel Embiid, I don't think he plays tonight. It is a back-to-back against the Pistons. I don't think he plays tonight. I think they gave him a night off, and it's like, who are they going to go to? A lot of B-ball Paul tonight, I guess. A lot of Andre Drummond tonight. But Sixers-Pistons right back at it. Sixers right back at it tonight. We'll see where that goes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. Much appreciated. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow on a Football Friday to break down Eagles, Chargers, Sunday, 4:05 kickoff. We'll get into that tomorrow. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program, did a phenomenal job doing so. Also, my thanks to Buzz Sports and Entertainment, as this is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Go see John Dorenbos at Live Casino this weekend, Saturday night. Tickets at AXS.com. Type in John Dorenbos, and you'll get tickets right there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.